Welcome YouTubers to this first look gameplay video of the Repopulation. This is an excellent new up and coming MMORPG and I'm happy to bring it to you. In this video I want to do a quick tour of one of the main cities in the game called Plymouth City. I was thrown into this zone right after completing a user's tutorial for basically different things you can do in the game. They explained combat, they explained a couple of different crafting systems, they explained pet training and robots, just to kind of give you a feel for what the game, all the content that was in the game. And there is a lot of content. And honestly, my biggest complaint so far is that I am very confused. There are so many different skills, so many different buttons, so many different menus to look at. It can be a bit overwhelming, but stick with it. It gets better as time goes on, and eventually I think I figured out what I would like my character to be. I'd like him to be a robot manufacturer and pet trainer. But enough of that. We'll get more into that later. Let's first take a look around Plymouth City. We're going to start our tour in the medical center. And the reason why I'm starting here is because I want to show you this is where the skill imprinting station is. This is the machine you use to either teach yourself new skills or increase your existing skills, and it's fairly important. It took me a while to find it, so I wanted to show you that it is in fact in the medical center of Plymouth City, which is kind of located towards the northern side of the city. After that, one of the other very important places that you'll probably be spending a fair amount of time is the workshop area. Down over there is basically where the crafting table is, and that's where you'll be making all your different items. So one of the first things I tried to craft as a pet trainer was I wanted to create this item called pet food. Anytime you hover over an item, you'll see a small description come up about it in the lower right hand corner. I wanted to make pet food, obviously, because if I have pets, they'll get grumpy and angry at me if I don't feed them food. So actually creating the pet food, though, was a lot more complicated than I thought. And like I mentioned before, it's because there is a skill for everything. So if you open up the crafting station and you take a look at veterinary medicine, that's where pet food is located. You open that up and you see it takes 2 ingredients, a meat slab, and distilled water. Well, distilled water is something that you can actually make, and it's located under another tab called Chemistry. And in there you'll see distilled water itself takes 2 ingredients, contaminated water and then heat sources. And of course, the first question I had was, where do I get each? Well, contaminated water, I found out, came from, surprise, surprise, a skill that I had to unlock. The way I unlocked it was by running a bunch of missions, and eventually at the end of completing one of the missions, I was able to select this skill as a reward, and it just gave it to me. Then there's another way I could have unlocked it, and that is through your skills window. There are basically these points in the lower right-hand corner. Right now you can see I have 2 of them, and if you click on the Earnable tab of the abilities window, you can actually unlock different abilities in the game. So the next one I'm probably going to go for is Patch Animal, because I'm an animal trainer. You gain these points, I'm not really sure how. I usually gain them by completing missions and exploring and doing various things. So after finding the scrounge for water skill, I went out and got a bunch of water, was able to scrounge that up, and then of course I didn't have any heat sources. Luckily I was able to find one off of a mob I killed on the southern side of the city, and I didn't realize I had picked it up until I came back to the crafting station and saw that it was actually something I could use to make the distilled water. So now that I know that it's there, I know there's a bunch of mine deposits out, or at least there was when I was there last time on the southern side of the city. So I can go there because a lot of that ore can be used as a heat source. And so that's pretty much the workshop. Real quick overview of crafting. You can see in my cybernetics that was something I accidentally trained in. What I really wanted though was robotics. So I trained in that, and I will be making these various components as I proceed forward. Right now I haven't even started scaling them up, so everything is 0. In my inventory I've got just a bunch of junk, really. It's pretty much all the stuff I've gotten from killing various NPCs outside the city. Most of it is animal related. However, I did find a couple of robots, and so I picked things up like the standard power distributor and circuit boards, and obviously robot parts, of course. The next thing I want to cover real quick before we continue our tour is there's a couple of different windows I've flipped through real quick. The first one is your abilities window. Abilities you can assign to hotkeys down here. It's your standard ability. You can categorize them by group or by skill name alphabetically. The next window I'd like to show you is your character window. It's your standard equipment type window that shows you what you have equipped. Your next window is, of course, your inventory window. The nice thing about your inventory window is you can categorize it into different basically components, and the way you do that is just by clicking on one of these boxes up here, 1 through 8. So for example, in my 4 box I have all of my meat slabs that I've been using to make my pet food, and then in container 1 I have 2 pets that I'm currently working on growing, I guess. The last window I'd like to show you is your skills window, which is different than your abilities window. I believe that your abilities basically your abilities are dependent upon a skill. However, I have not been able to figure out which ability relates to which skill, and except of course in the cases where I've been using an ability and gained skill points from doing so. But they are 2 separate things, and that's important to note. You can see that these can be categorized by type or by rank. So for example, you can see my fairly noobish character has been focusing on searching for pets to train and training them. More so even than fighting, although I am using automatic weapons and then medium armor, which actually is all the way down there. Alright, so with that, let's continue our tour. The next important place you'll want to maybe go to is down in this lower right-hand corner. If you do own a property, you can own your own house in this game. You can get to it by traveling to the transit and housing area down in the southwest corner of the city. In the southeast corner, you have your tech plaza, which includes areas that basically revolve around robotics. Probably cybernetics is also down there as well, so you'll have vendors there that sell you various robotics and cybernetic things. There are 2 exits to the city, the east gate and the north gate. The north gate has a lot of attack on, or KOS, basically kill on sight type mobs, and when they see you they will attempt to kill you. Out the east gate there's a bunch more sort of neutral mobs, I guess you could call them, and they're good for training. And so that's it. I'll bring you more videos as I learn more. It's just a lot of information to sort through. It's very exciting though, and so I hope you enjoyed this first look. Till next time.